Let's start with a song of yours that you feel like best represents your mental health journey.
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think my mental health journey has gone through a lot of seasons, but the one I resonate most with is probably my song Pray. It's also my favorite song to perform live. I think it has the most emotion. And it's just this back and forth. Beginning of the song is, I pray that I died in my sleep, It's also this idea of like dying in your sleep is like the best way it can go, So I don't want to go through more pain, but I don't want it to keep going. And then the second half is, I pray that I don't die in my sleep. So kind of just, the split down the middle of being on both sides. I feel like that's a great example of my mental health.
One of the reasons why we'll talk with musicians about mental health is because, people who are musicians have generally thought so much about their experience and they translate it, and so many people have their first experiences considering their emotions through music. But one of the other reasons is that when people, one of the stigmas of mental illness is that you just kind of assume that it happens to people who struggle. It would never happen to somebody who is a rock star, a pop star, any other kind of star. And so if you feel comfortable, could you talk about just what led up to that point where you're thinking, wow, this killing myself is actually something that makes sense to me?
I've definitely had a few moments in my life. I remember the first one, it was just like the first time that I really felt depression. I was like 17, senior in high school, and it all just hit, I feel like I had been avoiding it my whole life. I'd felt the anxiety and the depression, but I never really put a name to it or like a title, so once I gave it that power and I realized what it was, being a kid, it really kind of consumed me. But over the years, with each kind of heartbreaking situation that I went through, it really it depended on where I was at in the rest of my life mentally. If when I hit that rock bottom, I was going to feel suicidal or not, if that makes sense. Like there was other factors for sure. And what you said earlier, though, is like it could come out of nowhere. I've really struggled with having like manic emotions in my life and just feeling manic, of going where like, yeah, I could have a fantastic day and then randomly I'll be in my bed at night and like, wow, this is how I feel, right? And I didn't understand that at all. I still am really trying to work through that and stuff. I feel like at this point in my life, I'm at a really good balance of learning how to regulate my emotions. But every day is different. So thinking back to when I was feeling suicidal, I don't even think that I was fully like conscious, I was kind of in that like seeing red state every time I got there. And luckily I had friends around me and people around me that I was able to like kind of go to. But it's a scary place to just not, it's kind of like when you shut off the light. It's like if you shut off the lights, put a bag over somebody's head and just started like pushing them around. That's what like suicidal ideation feels like, right? Like you don't know what's going on. You don't really have a choice of what to do. You know that you want to get out and you don't see really the possible way. So the past 2 weeks I've been in this mode of like, when the weight of the world starts crashing down, being reminding myself like, oh, hey, I'm like inside a building. There's like blue skies outside, it might rain, just realizing like, hey, you're living it today, dude. Like you actually can't do anything else. I try to envision myself like almost from a third person perspective, like, dude, you're just sitting here in your room. Nothing bad has happened. You're just in your head so much convincing yourself this is how it's going to play out. You're not even giving your body time to rest to prepare if it actually did go bad, and I'm a very logical person. So when I realized that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like if it's going to go bad regardless, I might as well like not sit in that until it happens. That way I don't end up making it worse, but it's taken a really long time for me. A lot of just failure of like just making the wrong decision to get to this point. So I'm really excited about, I've also taken some time away from my career and like social media and stuff like that for quite some time, at least being as invested as I have been in what I do. And I'm excited to kind of get back into that now with this new perspective, with the support system that I have right now. Having people around you, even people that you may not like hang out with and get all giddy with, people that that just care about you and respect you. Having those people in your life is so important with just growing and being able to learn how to navigate your own emotions, like we were saying. I wouldn't be anywhere if I didn't have my manager, who's also my best friend, my videographer, who's also my best friend. my roommate, who's my best friend, you know, and that's only 3 people, but they've stuck with me for years, and so many people have come in and out. But being able to lean on them and then being readily available and emotionally available is such an important thing. Like, I just honestly don't know if I'd be here without them.